doing, guys? And welcome back to TSTV for the match review of Legia Warsaw versus Chelsea, and we'll also be doing the match preview for Chelsea versus Ipswich in this same video. Oh, look, game against Legia Warsaw yesterday was a bit of a weird old game. The first half was one of the most boring halves of football you're ever going to see, which we've become quite accustomed to recently. But the only thing I could actually remember from the half was a Kinnan Dewsbury Hall shot, which I think the goalkeeper saved pretty well and looked like I was heading towards the top corner. Apart from that, really nothing to show for the first half. Very pedestrian, very slow, very drab. Nothing to kind of get excited about. I kind of just wanted it to end at that point, to be quite honest. But look, second half was a lot better. Obviously, Noni Madueke came on for Cole Palmer and Levi Colwell came on for Tosin. Cole wasn't getting that much space in the game, and I thought he might start, but obviously, it's just not happening for him at the moment. I mean, I kind of get the feeling that maybe he kind of just needs the season to end, have a little bit of a break. And look, I've seen people kind of talking on Cole's name recently. He's a world-class player. He is one of the best players in the Premier League. He's just going through the period at the moment, and he will 100% be fine. But yeah, when Noni came on, we looked a lot better. He was very direct, really caused the fullback a lot of problems, even without the 2 goals, to be honest. And Jadon Sancho as well was a lot better in the second half. He was running at people, he was committing fullbacks, played 2 really good crosses into the box for Noni Madueke's goals, and he looked much more of a threat, and that is what I want to see from Jadon Sancho. So really pleased that he obviously stepped up to the plate in the second half. I mean, to be fair, the whole team did. Obviously, the highlight is Tyreek George scoring his first goal. Really delighted to see that. You could see the joy etched all over his face when he scored. Really lovely moment. And to get the opening goal as well. So a really big goal in the context of the tie. And yeah, you could see how happy he was. And he played really well, as did Josh Achiampong, who I didn't think would start in my predicted lineup. But Maresca was full of praise for both of them in this game. And look, I really hope that it means that he get more Premier League minutes. I mean, Tyreek, I think he does deserve a start in the Premier League, to be very honest with you. I think he does deserve to be, in the team ahead of the likes of, I know Sancho had a good game, as mentioned, ahead of the likes of Sancho or maybe even Neto as well in terms of the output. So I don't think he will start on Sunday, but I'd love to see it. And same with Josh. I mean, Enzo Maresca was saying how much he's in love with him after the game, and he's barely played any minutes recently. So can you take that praise with a pinch of salt? Because Guardiola often comes out with these sorts of things, and he kind of says one thing and then does another. So whether this means anything, I'm not sure. But if you were giving me the option of starting Josh or Malo Gusto at right back right now, there's only one choice. And I actually think Malo Gusto is a good player, right? I think he will come good again, but he's having a bad season. He's not been in good form at all. And so I'd much rather have Josh in there. But both of those players did really well. And obviously, yeah, Noni, when he came on, 2 good finishes, and he's a productive winger, and we're going to need Noni for the rest of the season. Now, whatever we think about him, he can be a bit inconsistent. He can drift in and out of games. He can not turn up for a couple of weeks. But if you look at, obviously, our attacking players, Cole aside and maybe even sort of Jackson, Noni is definitely our most effective. And, I really hope that we can see him, Cole and Nicholas Jackson from the start against Ipswich on Sunday, because Noni, when he's fit and firing, is a really dangerous player. And yeah, a lot of teams will be interested in him in the summer if we look to sell him. But yeah, the second half was a lot better, much better tempo. We looked to threat every time we went forward. We were moving the ball quicker, which is something I always talk about, move the ball quickly, and these sorts of teams can't live with you. We obviously had a penalty miss as well, which Christopher Nkunku missed. Now, look, we won the game 3-0. I'm not going to go on too much about that. People can miss penalties. Obviously, Nkunku's not had a good time recently. He's not had a good season. He's not had a good time at Chelsea, full stop, to be honest. And look, obviously, I had a bit of a pop at him the other day, but I'm not going to pile on to him for this one. I think his confidence is probably on the floor. I don't think he wants to be. I think he's checked out. It was probably a poor decision to give him the penalty. But I think 25 seconds later, we scored through Noni and got the 3rd goal. So it didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And as I mentioned the other day, just get the job done in this tie, and then we can focus on, I think I incorrectly said it was Everton next week at home, but it's actually Fulham away, which will be a tough game. Next week, we can just focus on Fulham away. We can rest a lot of our key players, and predicting a lineup will be interesting. It gives us that breathing space. Legia Warsaw are not going to come to Stamford Bridge and win 4-0. So the tie's done. So yeah, I can only be pleased with the performance, right? The first half was pretty drab and pretty rubbish. The second half was very good. So look, job done, pretty much tie done. Not much more else to say. But yeah, well done to the team for go into a hostile stadium, a hostile atmosphere, and get them through it. And yeah, we can kind of focus on our next couple of league games before the semi-finals kick in for the Conference League now. And that may sound arrogant, but look, Legia Warsaw are just not going to win 4-0 at Stamford Bridge. It's never going to happen. I mean, if it does happen, I will come on to this channel, I don't know, dressed as Mr. Blobby. So yeah, you can book it. It won't happen. So yeah, looking ahead to Ipswich at the weekend, look, it's really, really big game for us. Now, you could say it's a big game for Ipswich in their fight for survival, but they're down. They're already 12 points off Wolves. They lost to them last week. If they'd won that game against Wolves, they would have gone 6 points behind them, and that would have made it a bit more tricky because they'd had a bit more riding on the game for them. But look, it's as good as done now, the relegation. Yeah, it's going to be a game where we're going to have a lot of the ball. We're going to be expected to win in front of our home fans. And what I do want to see is us play like we did in the second half against Legia Warsaw, where we did move the ball quickly. We did play direct and mix the game up. We did, look to commit the opposition. And that's how you're going to win games of football, but that's also how you're going to bring fans on side because they're going to enjoy watching what they see. Now, Ipswich do have a couple of good players. Obviously, Liam Delap, who we've been heavily linked with up front. So we've got to watch out for him. But in fairness, we've actually kept quite a few clean sheets recently. I think we've kept something like 6 out of 8 of our last games there have been no goals let in. So that's obviously a positive. We do seem to be getting things sorted defensively a little bit more now. But obviously, it's actually the attacking side of the pitch that is letting us down this minute. So I really want us to go at Ipswich, commit them early on, get a goal up. Because I think if we get an early goal in the game, that sets us up to go and win the game comfortably and put in a bit of a statement performance. And I think we do need that. So I'm really hoping that we kind of come out all guns blazing. And then again, as Maresca said about managing minutes, if we can go 2 or 3 goals up in fairly quick time, then you can rest Cole, you can rest Nicholas Jackson, you can rest Noni. You can do these things, but you have to earn your stripes within a game to be able to do that. But yeah, look, let's get into the predicted lineup. So in goal will be Robert Sanchez. Maresca's made it very clear that Robert Sanchez is the Premier League #1, so he will be in goal. Now, right back will be interesting. Now, obviously, as mentioned earlier in the video, Enzo Maresca came out and really, really praised Josh Achieng-Pong and said how much he loved him. So normally you'd think maybe he would start him in this game, but I don't think he will. Obviously, Reece played for an hour in centre midfield against Legia Warsaw, so I do think it probably will be Malo Gusto again at right back. Now, Malo again is not having a good season, but he is probably the most reliable in terms of fitness and probably the most reliable in terms of kind of experience compared to Josh, Enzo Maresca will think. So I think that will be the starting lineup. So I think Malo Gusto will be at right back. Centre back, it will be Trevor Chalobah, I imagine, with Levi Colwell. Levi came on for the second half against Legia. Trevor's completely rested. So I think that will be the starting centre back pairing. Left back will be very simple. Now, Cucurella hasn't started the last 2 games. He will definitely start this one. So Mark Cucurella will be at left back. Very, very simple. In centre midfield, again, very straightforward because Romeo Lavia apparently is still not fit. So it will be Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. It's a real shame that Lavia isn't fit though, because if Caicedo avoids a yellow card in this game, then basically he won't get a suspension for the rest of the season based on the yellow card accumulation. So if he does get a booking, he will miss Fulham and Everton, and we really do not want Moises Caicedo missing any games of football for us at this moment in time. Usually you'd think maybe this would be a nice one to bring Romeo Lavia in with Enzo, and you can get away with resting Moises Caicedo, but I just don't think you can at this moment in time. Maybe Maresca will see it differently, and we'll see Reece James in there alongside Enzo. I wouldn't completely discount that, to be honest, but I don't think he will. So I do think it will be Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Now, up front, it's been quite tricky recently, but I think it will be fairly simple as to what Enzo Maresca will pick this time. So up front will be Nicholas Jackson. As long as he's not picked up any niggles, he will be starting up front. He is our main centre forward, and he helps the team exponentially when he's inside. Behind him will be Cole Palmer. Now, Cole played 45 minutes against Legia. We're building his minutes up after his little niggly injury. Again, I've said this a number of times over the last few weeks. Hopefully he can come in, make an impact, and get that goal to really get the season up and running again, but he will be at the number 10. On the right will be Noni Madueke. Played 45 minutes against Legia, was absolutely brilliant when he came on, scored 2 goals. I'll be very, very surprised if he doesn't start this game. So Noni Madueke will be on the right. And then I believe it will be Pedro Neto on the left. Now, he had a bit of a rest against Brentford. He didn't play at all against Legia Warsaw, so he should be fit and firing for this game. And I think that is probably our best front four at this moment in time. I said earlier in the video that I would like to see Tyreek start, but I'd be very, very happy and comfortable with that front four. I do think Jadon Sancho has started pretty much all of our recent games, and even though he did have a good second half against Legia Warsaw, I wouldn't start him in this game. I think that front four can win you the game in the first hour, and then you can obviously look to rotate after that. So I'd be happy with that lineup. It's definitely good enough to get the job done against Ipswich. Look, we can't disrespect them. Obviously, we're the only team they've beaten at home this season. But look, this is at Stamford Bridge. Our home record has been pretty good recently, so that lineup is more than good enough to get the job done. And again, there's the carrot that next Thursday is pretty irrelevant now, unless something absolutely ludicrous happens. So you can then look towards resting people for Fulham away. So yeah, that's my predicted lineup, guys. In terms of a score prediction, I do think we'll win the game. I think we'll win. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win. I predicted this the other day. I can see Liam Delap scoring. It feels very narrative-y that he'll get a goal against the team he's been most heavily linked with. But I do think we will score a few goals. I think if we can play at the fast tempo that we did in the second half against Legia, comfortably. Ipswich aren't great defensively either, and I think they've got a couple of injuries in midfield and at the back. So if we play like we can do, like we did against Tottenham, like we did in the second half the other day, we should run out fairly comfortable winners. But that's no disrespect to Ipswich. We are a better side than them, and there'll be a big 3 points in the race for Champions League qualification. So yeah, look, that's my match review of Legia Warsaw, my match preview of Ipswich at home on Sunday. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hopefully it's another convincing win. And yeah, I will see you on the other side. And yeah, take care.